Satellar. Knights. Out to the wise guys. This deck is absolutely ridiculous. It has a nasty matchup, as I said, versus Ubel versus Tempai. It has an amazing matchup. Can't wait to talk about it. We're going to get straight into it. Triple Deneb for me. You can play this deck many different ways. You can try it with Melodious. I think the best version is with Fiendsmith and mixing in like the XYZ torpedo stuff, you know, like all those random rank force and the Dark Lancer rank up. They're amazing cards. I'm getting to it. I'm kind of picked this deck up because of Ryzial, to be perfectly honest. But right now, it's actually good itself. And the ability for Ryzial to be able to mix some of the Satellarknight extra deck into it, Diamond especially, I really can't wait for that. And so I kind of wanted to have it in hand, picked it up. Amazing. Exactly what I wanted it to do. It's been doing, and I've topped a couple tournaments, like local tournaments, some online tournaments, so I wanted to really get into it. This deck is ridiculous. Deneb is the Stratos. It's a warrior. It's a light. You can't say enough good things about it. It's a warrior, though. So y'all know how that rolls, and we're just going to kind of move on from there. My strategy is to go for the 3 Deneb and 3 Lyran. To me, the ratios can be kind of manipulated with. You can kind of mess around with them. But these 3, especially Lyran, you have to play 3 of because it helps you to search your Satellarknight spells and or traps, which for the majority of the time, yes, you can grab like Twinkle and other random cards like that. But most of the time, you're going to go for these 2, and we're going to get there. We're almost there, I promise. But being able to chain black, essentially normaling Deneb, chaining to summon this. And then this is basically like a Samorg inside of Fluanderies to kind of give you a parallel example. And then being able to chainlink 1, make Deneb your search, or chainlink 1, make Lyran your search, and then chain block with the other one. You never know what your hand you may have the spell already. You may just want to chain block with that and ensure that you get Deneb to help you get the next card that we're going to talk about, which is Double Altair. Altair, not only an amazing assassin in Assassin's Creed. Every time I see that name, that's what I think of, Assassin's Creed. This card is absolutely ridiculous because it helps you to either recover or get into the old school line of play where it was the Trivera stuff. That's not really relevant anymore. The Phoenix Chain stuff, the Fogblade stuff. The game is entirely too fast for you to even attempt that. You can try. You can maybe slip in Call the Haunted for like the other one, the Altairin, that can basically every time it's summoned pop some cards. But it's not that important on your opponent's turn to do that much stuff to where you'd want to go off that far on a tangent. I could see you playing one, but for me, the deeper you go into the grind game, the more you're going to want to get this back or have another one to load up to normal summon to kind of kickstart your plays again, and then using the Sky Bridge to kind of load some cards that you may need, or a Gagaga Magician, which is also in my extra deck. There's just a few different ideas that you need this card to kind of stay floating and relevant inside of the game. Next on, we got the one-offs. Unocal High is Foolish Burial for them. Loses to Shifter, but he's 1800 body. And sometimes you get like under Shifter and you're like, right on. And you just go to battle phase and just start punching over stuff and just getting in weird game states and then going into Baguska anyway. Most of the time with like Lyran, like a lot of times I'll get Shifted. You'll normal this, not activate its effect, chain the Lyran, overlay for Baguska. That's kind of your strategy when you get Shifted, just to kind of let you know like what route to take it. Altairin is the card that it can come out on your turn to help you punch through a board by, if you have an Exceed that's a Teller or a Constellar, up to that number, you can pop on their side of the field, which that can get kind of nasty the later the game goes. So the deeper they're in some deep doo-doo, which will happen a lot. And Altairin is just dumb, and you can interrupt them on their turn. You can Skybridge it out of your deck or pull it out of the graveyard if you XYZ summon on their turn with Ptolemy. There's plenty of stuff that you can do. Pardon me, I kind of shifted it off screen. But moving on, Vega and Capella. This is the MVP of the deck, which we'll get to the MVP of the extra deck. This card allows you to use Satellarknights to overlay for rank 5. So you can try out Drindle and Droll if you want to try that. It hasn't been landing like that. I like doing that, but it's not as good as the other card that I'm playing. Vega, the old school way, you would have different ratios with these. With this, I feel like you want the minimal engine for a lot of this stuff unless you're getting pulled into the grind game or unless you're starting off. And that's why I'm playing 3-3, 2 into the grind game, and then the one-offs. This is just my opinion. There's obviously a lot that you could fix if you're playing different builds. Like I said, you got Fiendsmith, you got plenty of different builds. Melodious is probably the one that I'm having the most fun with, because being able to pendulum summon Satellarknight is absolutely stupid. And then also having a card like this, which also in that version, having this card is just, it's not even fair at that point. And you're just always, it just maximizes the consistency to a ridiculous level. And Melodious is just a good engine in itself. Sakitama is the free level 4 though, and it does its job. Aratama is not good in this deck and would not be relevant for anything. You know, shout out to Shino Birds though, but you only need this guy. He's a free 4. Too good. You can try Photon Thrasher. It's just bad sometimes. That card's always good. And if you break on them, you can still play. So that's the most important thing. Triple Ash. Speaking of still being able to play, triple Fualos. You don't care about overdrawing the Ash, because most of the time you're ashing them. And sometimes people are maining like Charmies. We have a lot of water around us, so I'm ashing the other Charmy a lot in game ones. Fualos, you want to try to control their turns. It's as close as you can get to Max C, and it's just a powerful card right now. And it's a level 4, so even if you brick on these, normal, reveal, I've won games like that. So the Charmies are definitely recommended for this deck because it's a rank 4 deck. This is going to come up more with Ryzial, and you can already see it coming. You know what I'm saying. Don't have to believe me. Don't take my word for it. Just trust me. It's real out here with normal summoning Fualos and Perulia. They're both really, really good. And that's what I do a lot in this deck. And I feel like that's only going to get more and more relevant. Ghost Mourner. This is the card that's strange for me, but there's a lot of application where I don't care about Valor. I don't care about Imperm. I'd rather land a little bit of time stuff on them. And being able to draw like Nib and Mourner through the Fualos means you're not just hoping to draw into Ash and Imperm. Like, you have some other hand traps. But I didn't want to overdraw them. And I wanted to keep the number relatively close to 40, but drown some obvious bricks inside of the deck. Speaking of some very, very powerful cards, and one kind of pseudo brick, but not really. Fenrir, special Fenrir, add Rise Heart. Rise Heart gets the special because you have a Kashtira monster. It's a level 4 that's free. Well, what do I do with the Fenrir? Where you're either going to link it off, which you're not going to do a whole lot. Sometimes I win games just off special Fenrir. Fenrir is that stupid and that powerful of a card that people still got to respect it. So sometimes they'll react to this and you're like, Imperm, something like that. You're like, okay, fine. And then you go do your regular stuff. It's too good not to play, in my opinion. I would keep this in my main, and I'm going to cut the other like pseudo package because I don't feel like it's worth it. Although I do get to turn skip a little bit more. The percentage goes up slightly, but you know, it is what it is. The cards that I'm talking about though are Caduceus and Sheraton. I just don't know about the Constellars. They're phenomenal cards. This card is absolutely insane because when it's material, it's kind of like a Star Seraph, where whatever it's underlayed, I guess. I'll get it out at some point. You basically get to banish a card at the start of damage count, which is really, really stupid. If it's a light and dark, attack and then like construct it off the field and banish it out of play. That's kind of good. And against stuff like Ubel, oh, yeah, you don't want to go to battle, attack, banish. It's really, really powerful. So I definitely love the card. I was playing more. You can play a heavy Constellar build, and it's a good deck. It's a very good deck, but this is like the heavy Satellar version. I'm going to definitely have different versions of this deck. I love this deck. And then obviously I'm going to have it when Ryzial comes out because I like Ryzial too. It's pretty strong. But the Sheraton, obviously, wanted to talk about this one really quick because I got to talk about this card really, really quick. Twinkle. I'm going to cut these, but this is still really, really good. Off of Caduceus, which is take any 2 level 4s, which you basically summon. You add back anything that's Teller or Constellar in your grave. Hand and resource management. You can add this back as well, banish it, and also change some level. It does a whole lot of stuff, level changing, and then being able to kick back Constellar monsters from your grave. It's really, really interesting, but the majority of the time, you're going to banish this and then search out the Caduceus. And then after you search the Caduceus, you can special, if this is on your field, you have this, you can grab this, make this a 4. If you couldn't get there before, you can then. This is your next rank 4. So it's I don't think it's super duper relevant, and I feel like just Fenrir, Rise Heart, you could cut it down to 40 and just not play these three. I like him, and he comes up enough against certain matchups that's why I've been playing him. It's up to you, literally, but that's part of that engine where I'm like, you just put Fiendsmith right there if you want to play Fiendsmith. If you want to play Melodious, you put Melodious right there. They're all like 7 to 8 card engines. Really, really self-explanatory. Don't think I need to say much more than that. Prosperity wrote a call by. And then getting into what the really important parts are, I feel like, it is Twinkle, I kind of already explained that. The consistency is the key, called by for the shifter that you have to play. You don't really care about anything else, so you can Skybridge and play through mostly anything else, and call by will save you for anything else. Call by is just a powerful card. Teller, Constellars. Constellar, Teller, hey, you say it however the hell you want to. Just know that it's real out here. You get to summon, hold this card back as much as you can, but you get to summon out of your hand or grave, and then you get to rank down, which is why the deck is as good as it is. And a really, really powerful rogue strategy that's going to obviously have little bits and pieces of future engines as well. Because just being able to just put these crazy-ass cards in this extra deck onto the field for almost free, reload some cards, reload your Satellarknights. It goes without saying how good it is. The triple Skybridge also. So the Caduceus most of the time is going to grab this, or you're just going to flat out open that. And obviously when you overlay for this guy, being able to grab these back, the later the game goes, and even in the early game, if you needed Skybridge to get to this guy, then you just want to play the max version, max consistency of these cards. And then for me, what's been working the best for me is Droplet. You just hope you don't get shifted because it's turned off under shifter. We all know that. Forbidden Droplet is the best board breaker, period. And it just helps too much, and you can do too much, you know, like with this card. You can summon the card out of your hand anyway, so you might not need the destructive dependency on your normal summon that you'll get screwed. So Droplet is probably the better main deck option. That's just my opinion. You can try out Dark Ruler. I don't know. I feel like Droplet, I wanted to be able to set some cards. And then obviously with more ways to stop people's monster effects. Monster effects are the resource management in this game. You got to imperm folks. And you got to cross out folks as imperm. And imperm is just good even if you draw it going second. The extra deck, going to speed it up a little bit. Caduceus, obviously we kind of already talked about it. Can kick the Skybridge and the Constellar card back into your hand. Or you can just flat out go for the banishing. It does for cost, so you can like unbrick yourself even if they imperm this card and get that Sheraton out of your deck. So that's why I don't care about the brick too much. This card is absolutely ridiculous. It leads to the FDK. We will be putting that in a combo video. But the FDK revolves around Ptolemaeus, which literally says if he has 7 materials, detach. So essentially, you probably go into one of these guys. You start using Deltaros to start floating. And then you get in probably another one of these guys when you have 5 tellers on the field. Then you overlay. Then after that, you rank up into M7. Kind of explain it really quick. And you can rank down into this. And then, you know, like the Deltaro stuff. And then if you have 5 monsters, essentially overlay. So, my bad, I'll break that up. You may need this early. You probably do to get to 5. If you do get to 5, overlay. Overlay. Really, really stupid. Being able to just wipe people out where it's my turn again. That's really, really stupid. I played Drytron. You guys have seen the More Factor Pain on the page. It's the same thing. FTKs, just like the world turn skip. That stuff is like a new frontier in the game that we just don't explore enough. And it's just, I could talk about that all day. It's really, really stupid. I've done it maybe 2 or 3 times in the last 12 matches that I played in competitive play. It's dumb. It works every time. Deltros and Triver, the cover boys. These are the ones that were popular 10 years ago. They're still good. They're just not the focal point. Triver, you do this mainly against decks like Branded, decks like decks that commit to the extra deck a lot and then leave like a lot of weakness. So if you're like Dark Ruler, then you launch a Triver on them and then you put everything back in their extra deck and they only had like 1 card go back to their hand and they spent their whole hand. Well, they just lost the game. You have to play Triver. That's just my opinion because of situations like that. And there's a lot of decks that overcommit like that. and being able to screw certain decks and just pick them to shreds, like Ubel does that, launching Ubel stuff back to their hand and then picking it to shreds. I like it. It's still really good. Deltaros is the wheels to everything. You have to do it. Just because he keeps coming onto the field, you link him off, he floats into another card. He's not once a turn. Too good. Way too good. Bartolomaius, you can basically use him to quick exceed into any of these. He's a quick effect if you have 7 or more tellers, which is going to happen a lot because you just have a lot of different teller knights working in unison. And he makes everybody dark, which makes Diamond even better. Diamond screws over decks that are dark, period. But if you can't like FTK them and you can't kill them and you can push for a lot of damage, this is what you're gonna want to put these two on the board most of the time together, because turning everybody dark and then saying, hey, you're dark, effect to negate, and then still having an ability to like launch a Trivair on them, it's still pretty good, bro. This stuff is pretty good, and it's really, really a strong rogue strategy. You can make the diamond. Obviously with the Ptolemaeus. You can make it in main phase 2. I've done it a couple times because you are playing Teller Knights. It's powerful however you summon it, and it really screws over decks like Ubel, and I couldn't say enough about that. Getting into the last part of the extra deck though, these exceeds, I feel like I'm correct on these. This is probably the one that is the most shaky, because it's like Underworld Goddess. I exchanged this spot for a lot of stuff. Was Drindle before, but this card is just flat out superior. So you pull back Deltaros that you just saw me explain most of the time, and then you just keep floating and floating and floating and floating and floating. This could be Dagusto Emerald as well. That's a powerful card. Baguska, when you get shifted, you got to have a backup plan. Pallades is the other card that you can rank down into. And when you have leftover cards like the continuous spell that we talked about a little bit earlier, you're going to have cards that are kind of left over sometime. Bounce it back to your hand. This card is the MVP of the deck. Paradise Smasher. I feel like the card, if it ever catches on in a rank 5 deck, it's going to get banned. It's that good. It's Featherstorm. Can't say enough good things about it. Effect, 90, I think it's 92-ish%. It might be slightly higher than that. Somebody can form me the calculations and put it down in the comments, please. I would much appreciate that. But essentially, as long as you're gonna roll 2 dice, and as long as both of your numbers aren't like 6, you're probably going to win a high majority of the time, because his effect changes one of the dice rolls that they get to 7. So, you know, the range, if you can do that in your head, the range is like 6 and 6 or 5 and 6 or 4 and 6. Like I have to roll a 10. So, you know, like as long as they don't roll like a 2 or a 1, you're going to win. I think that's the best way I can explain it, kind of the fast way. Let me know the math. If you know some calculations or something, how to break that down for the folks, let me know. Zeus is Zeus. You're dark rolling people. You're dropletting people. Self-explanatory. You have to have a backup plan when you get buried, because it's going to happen. This deck also blows out Tempai completely. And anytime I've ever summoned this, if it lands, the game is over, and you just use the Capella, overlay the 3, and effect, and it goes off. I have not had it miss, and then you have to play these 2. And then the side, this is just what I've been playing. I'm playing Crossout. I like Crossout. I can't ever figure out if it's that good of a card, but I feel like as the range of cards kind of shrinks because of how strong some of these decks are, Crossout becomes a little bit more powerful, and I just feel like it has been. I've never been a fan of it, but it is kind of relevant now, where it's like, okay, you have to kind of respect the card. It's too good not to play. I'm crossing out shifters. I don't care about Ogre. I'm just ogreing. Most of the time, I'm just ogreing Tempai. That's just what I sided in against, because I hate Tempai. Shout out to Tempai, though. Hate the deck, though. Awesome for time. Yeah, you have to be a cheese ball sometimes. And being able to skybridge this, Deneb search it, you know, like it's too easy to get on the field to not do it. And then you can, like, burn them twice, you know, like you can summon it on their turn and burn them again and come back to you, burn them again. And then the closer you get to time, this card's dumb. You got to have it somewhere. Charmies, they're level 4s. You can play a build where you main like one of these or more of these. It's up to you. I'm just telling you. It would make sense, and it's pretty strong because being able to control their turn is just too stupid. And if you know how to correctly play the Charmies, then they're just so dominant that you're gonna get their turn. And if they quick skip their turn, they're never gonna get control of the game again. So that's why I'm thinking about maining these, but obviously got to try the Fiend Smith and et cetera out. And then these are just my choices because a deck like this, it's not amazing going second. I want to land it like a Triver going second anyway, so why not help them out? I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I myself, I'm out. Shout out to Umbreon, and shout out to the wise guys. We out. OIG, baby. Arrivederci.